Hello and welcome to Design Boss Dialogue, the podcast where bold and ambitious women in interior design come for real conversations to transform and take their businesses to new heights. I am your host, Lisa Marie Elkhadraoui, interior designer and business mentor, here to share my experiences and insights into running an interior design business, as well as empowering you to build the confident, profitable design business you've been dreaming of and truly deserve. In this space, we blend creativity with strategy to help you craft your success and thrive in the world of design. Every episode is packed with unfiltered, no BS conversations, daily inspiration, and actionable business tips to turn your passion into a thriving, cash-rich business. Together, we're redefining what it means to succeed in the interior design industry, one intentional, game-changing decision at a time. So get ready to step up, elevate, and create the design empire you've always envisioned. Welcome to another beautiful episode of the Advent Calendar Christmas podcast, and we are opening door 30 today, and my gorgeous guest is a powerhouse of a woman, Claire Lockey. She is a business growth and marketing strategist who helps ambitious women earn more, work less, and build aligned, fulfilling businesses. And as the founder of the Skills Blueprint Limited, she combines business strategy with personal development to help women leverage their skills, own their brilliance, and unlock their full potential. And today we are discussing how to share your value outside of just doing what you do as a businesswoman. Oh, Claire, welcome to today's podcast.
Hello, thanks so much for having me.
Oh, I'm really excited to have you on because you have been in my world for many, many moons now, haven't you?
Long time, yeah, nearly 8 years, I think.
I love that. I love that. And we have watched each other grow in our businesses.
Yeah.
Which has been incredible.
Yeah, worked together in all different ways. You were one of my very first clients. We've been in a mastermind together. We've spoken on stage together.
Yeah. You were my VA.
I was your VA, yeah. You were one of my very first clients, yeah.
I love that.
And look at where we are now, 8 years later. It's amazing. But we're going to Ibiza together.
I know, we've got so many exciting things coming up. And obviously with Ibiza, if anyone wants the details, they're going to be in the show notes. But Claire is one of our gorgeous speakers as well. And she's going to be coming to a beautiful, intimate retreat. But today we're going to be talking about value and women and how they can add so much more value from their skill set and how they sometimes devalue their actual skill set as well, aren't we?
We absolutely are. And this is a topic that is so close to my heart. This has been my work for the last 18 years, really, in my career. I've always worked in helping people utilize their skills as a national careers advisor, as a VA, as a coach, as a mentor, and now as a trainer as well. So yes, I love this topic.
I love it. And I think it's so important. Obviously, we are 48 hours away from stepping into 2026. We are starting a new year. It's the year of the horse, year of momentum, really like pace and consistency as well. And I think a lot of the women that are going to be listening to today's podcast and taking the value and the tips and the bite-sized nuggets are really going to appreciate that, to be able to implement into them and their businesses and their thought processes moving forward.
Yeah, I think this is such a key thing that unlocks so much in you as a woman, how you feel, your fulfillment, your potential, but then your results, your money, your income, your sales. It's such a beautiful thing that kind of, bridges both sides of us as women in the world, but as women in business as well. So I really hope the gorgeous ladies listening just take everything that we say and sit with it and take it with the love that we're sharing it with, and remember it when they're making those choices and decisions in 2026. Hopefully they've got Claire and Lisa sat on their shoulder going, don't undervalue yourself.
On their vision boards.
Yeah, yeah.
Literally just print this out and stick us up. It'll be
Yeah,
fabulous.
I can't
So
wait.
let's dive into it. So let's talk about value of the doing and how women get caught in that trap.
Yeah. So I predominantly work with service-based women. I always have done. It's just my area of expertise. And I started out as a VA myself, charging £12 an hour. So I know these traps well. I live them. I clawed my way through them to the other side, and made all of these realizations, and obviously now have two successful businesses. So I think as service-based providers, a lot of women tend to be experts at what they do, but they very much get caught up that their expertise is only valuable in the doing. So, but what happens there is they get stuck in kind of helper mode. They get stuck in and only seeing the value when they're ticking off tasks, when actually that's just one part of how they add value to their clients, but they're only monetizing it and viewing it in one way. And that results in lost opportunities, lost income, and just undervaluing, undercharging themselves. So this is a lot of what both of us do with our clients, is helping women to see their value differently, and it lies outside of just the tasks that they do. This
Exactly.
is the way. Yeah.
And I think for women, so if we take like service-based businesses such as potential like VAs and interior designers, they feel like they just have to be doing a particular service to get money from it.
Yeah, because they're experts at what they do. Copywriter, website designer, and any service-based photographer, interior designer, VA. They're experts at what they do, and they love the doing, and they want to carry on doing the doing, which is great because nobody can do it quite like them, right? And that and that's great. We definitely need doers. However, as you get better at what you do, as you become more of an expert, that the thousands of hours of learning, of application, of failures, of wins, of successes, that knowledge is so valuable, and it becomes so valuable outside of you just doing it for people. So take you, Lisa, for example, an incredible career in property, in interior design, and you've taken all of that knowledge and created a second business where you're sharing that knowledge. You're not doing it, you're sharing it and monetizing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I'm hoping that women listening to this are starting to think, okay, this is my business model and this is what I'm doing. How can I think outside the box to start to monetize from my skill set? So I've got my services and I do the do, and, I'm an expert at what I do. But how could I start to monetize my skills?
Yeah.
What I've learned, what I've invested in, the many years, the decades of investing in personal development and growth. How can I wrap that up and sell that as well? How can I monetize that? Because obviously off air, we were talking about, from even like conversations and ideas and brainstorming sessions and springboard sessions, they are all valuable assets to you and your business.
Absolutely. And I think this comes around, it starts with us about reframing what we perceive as valuable. And this brings us to a conversation around time for money, which obviously as a service provider, lots of, the types of jobs that we've listed often get stuck in that trap of trading time for money. This hour is worth this much. And that is such a capped way, because once you run out of time, you run out of the ability to make money, and you can't magically make more time unless you start getting in associates and building an agency. And not everybody wants to do that. Certainly not what I wanted to do. So it's absolutely that. I can, both of us, we can add value to our clients in a 5-minute conversation. It doesn't take us an hour to add value. Value can be found in asking somebody a challenging question, encouraging them to hold up the mirror. It can be found in asking the right questions. Knowing the right questions to ask, that is also valuable. So this is something I say to my clients all the time, is it isn't your job to assume what other people find value in. Don't assume.
I
It's
love
really
that.
dangerous. Yeah, so dangerous.
Because I think we also, we can all be really, really guilty of downgrading our value as well. And because it's so easy for us to do a particular task or service, oh, that's okay. That'll just take 5 minutes. I'll add that on. And what's water off a duck's back to us, to other people, it would take them maybe months or weeks or days and days and days to try to figure that out. But for us, because it's our craft and it's our skill set, you know, we can do that with our eyes closed. So we naturally sometimes downvalue that, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. It's very easy to just feel guilty about charging money for something that you feel so easy. And that, again, this is why it's really, really important that we focus on value. So a really good example of this is a plumber, for example. Your toilet breaks at home. The plumber comes and he says it'll be £80 to fix the toilet. And you say, yeah, great. Plumber comes along, fixes the toilet, takes him 7 minutes. Toilet's fixed. You wouldn't say to the plumber, well, that only took you 7 minutes. I'm not paying you the £80 because what you're doing is you're paying for the outcome, not the time that it took. And that's what we need to do. We need to shift to pricing, and pricing on value and pricing on outcome and transformation and result, not the time that it takes. And this is how we can then expand our capacity to deliver, our capacity to diversify our revenue, to monetize it in a different way, to bring in new income streams, because you're charging for the transformation and outcome that you create. The plumber knows how to fix your toilet in 7 minutes because he spent 15, 20 years fixing toilets.
Yeah, exactly. He knows his craft.
100%. And the client is happy because they've got the outcome that they've agreed to pay for. When you take time out of the equation with your clients, it doesn't become such a big thing. You just remove it from the conversation. And that also means that you can price it based on value, not time taken, because all skills are not equal. They are not all worth the same money. Some skills are higher value and they are worth more than others. And when you charge your time and you serve up, it's like an all-you-can-eat buffet, right? You're giving somebody a ticket and you're going, come on, you can have anything you want from me.
Have it all
for £18. And we don't want to do that.
No. Remember you saying this actually many years ago when we were working together about different services are different costs, and it's not just, you know, it's that one flat rate and you can have all of that.
Yeah.
And that's a point that's always stuck with me for like all of these years.
Yeah, I think it's really important. And so my background is a careers advisor. So I've always worked in skills training. I have a skills focused training company now. And this, I think, brings us to a really interesting conversation around worth. And I hate the phrase charge your worth, because you personally, as a woman, you cannot charge your worth because you are priceless. You cannot allocate a worth, and your worth isn't conditional on whether clients say yes or no. Your personal worth isn't conditional on how many sales you make. It doesn't change. It isn't conditional. However, your skills have a professional value. Of course they do.
Yeah.
Just like in a corporate career, that's why some jobs get paid £30,000 a year and some jobs get paid £250,000 a year, because the value and the worth of the skills is different. And we need to separate personal worth from worth and value of professional skills. And when we make that separation, we take out the emotion, and it gets far easier to charge accordingly because we're not charging based on emotion.
I really love that. I just want to tail back into the point prior to worth, going back about time and reiterating that plumber comment. This is something we say in interior design all the time, and something that I teach as well, that we're not pricing for the time, we price for the transformation, like you say.
Absolutely.
And when a client challenges that, you know, but that job is only going to take you an hour. It's like, well, no, hold on a second. I have pumped thousands into my personal development. I can walk into a room, into a blank space, and see it transformed and finished, and have the roadmap there in front of me to then start to bring you through that transformation and that process to get you to your end goal. Regardless if it's going to take me 30 minutes or 30 days, the cost is the cost. And I think women that are listening to this for the first time and maybe thinking, oh God, I never thought of it like this. I want them to just sit in this space of this conversation and take this in, because this is why I'm so against hourly rate charging. Some hourly rate charging is absolutely fine. Like if you go do a site visit, it's an hour and a half, you can charge that. But when it's project work, regardless if you're a VA and you're doing a bank of work, you cannot charge by the hour, because like you said, once that hour's up and the client runs out of money, what do? Do you stop the project and be like, oh, by the way, you've run out of money. I've done it now. I'm not continuing. So that's why it's so important to actually put your value out there and showcase your value, because you are pricing for a transformation. You're not pricing for an hourly rate.
Yeah, and people value different things. So I think when people make the shift from a generalist to a specialist, so when they start to package their brilliance, to step into that, to own it, to claim it and position themselves as that expert. And I always say to my clients, a lot of women don't like the word expert. They feel very uncomfortable with it, and that's okay. Sometimes we make words feel too big for us, and that is society. That can be conditioning. However, if you don't like the word expert, just change it to the expertise.
Yeah, or zone of genius.
I have expertise, because expert becomes this kind of silo. There's only one, and it's win or lose. It's you or me. Take that out and become, value your expertise, your zone of genius. When we do that, one of the things about value and charging time for money particularly is that you are never the one that benefits as the business owner, because you get quicker, you get better, and clients just get more and more and more from you, and you aren't able to manage those expectations. That's one thing to really consider. But when women move from generalist to specialist, when they own their expertise and they find that niche, they are viewed differently. I love paying experts because I'm not paying for their time, I'm paying for an outcome or a transformation, but I'm also paying for experience. I'm also paying for not having to handhold. I am happy to pay more to guarantee that level of experience or level of result. But what I have to do is trust the person. And what I do is I look for evidence. So I'm checking their social media. I'm seeing how they show up. So it's one thing saying it, but a lot of the work here, Lisa, is our clients and women listen to this, is them doing it. Is the identity work. It's so important of how are you portraying yourself as an expert. If you don't believe in what you do and the results that you get, how can you expect anybody else to? People don't mind paying more, but they have to be more assured in what they're going to get in return for that.
And I think that also comes down to how you position yourself across your platforms, your social media platforms, as well as your website. And I always say to women, we are in a day and age where people can access you at a drop of a hat. So they will 9 times out of 10, if you don't use maybe Instagram and you're more on a Facebook or LinkedIn, 9 times out of 10, a client or someone is going to get on Instagram and just search you like a Google search bar. And they're going to see, are you active? What are you doing? What's your business like? What have you done before? They're going to do their digging. And we're so privileged and lucky that a platform such as Instagram or Facebook is free. So it's like a free online portfolio to showcase your expertise, your voice, and really stand in the value that you provide. So when clients are going on there, they can digest within most probably 30 seconds, if not before, who you are, what you stand for, what you're offering, and what you've done for others. And they can make an executive decision in under a minute whether they're going to hire you or not.
Absolutely. And that's so key, because having your USP is there's only so many ways to package the work that we do. There's only so many ways to write website copy. There's only so many ways to build a funnel or a sales page. There's only so many ways to design a living room, right? So a lot of this is another common mistake that I see a lot of women make, a lot of my clients make, is that they think the value and the USP is in the package. And it's not tall, it's in you. You are the USP.
Yeah.
And we put all our effort into trying to make our packages kind of spangly and all the bells and whistles and convoluted. And it doesn't. It's your results in you and your personality is the deciding factor. Because if you've got 3 people who all do the job, who can all achieve the outcome and are all at a similar price point, how are you going to pick the person that you want to work with? You pick the person that you like the most. You pick the person that you align with the most, the people
you resonate with,
you feel most connected to. And that's maybe they'll go, oh, they've got a yellow Labrador too. Or, oh, we've got boys, she gets it. And it could be something as simple as that, that is the deciding factor.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important that we are vulnerable and we share that, you know, our heart and soul and our personalities as well, because that's so important in this work too.
And I think so many women, certainly when they're coming into the creative industry and the design craft, they think they've got to have, the best designed website, everything mapped out and, the colors and the fonts and everything has to be beautiful and perfect. And actually, yes, whilst we need to have a brand identity, but we need to start showing up as ourselves, our raw, real self, to build that community, to showcase our value, to showcase our skill set, because it's not just like you say in the services, it's in us, and it's how we present ourselves and what we can do and how we can get you from A to B. And like you say, if a woman is watching on the other end and thinks, oh God, she has boys, she gets it. She's a businesswoman. She's a working mum. I kind of want a bit of that. I want to do that. They're going to go to someone like that rather than someone that maybe has a very static website, doesn't do maybe much video, has a faceless account. They're going to be like, well, I don't really know that person behind the brand, and they don't actually have much social proof, and I can't see any testimonials, and I can't see that they've worked with many people. So actually I'm going to go to the person doing all of this because she comes across more raw and real, and I can see the value that she could add to me in my business or however. So
in
I think that's a
marketing,
really key trick.
we're always looking in marketing for relevance and resonance. Relevance, resonance, and repetition are the 3 key things. And I'll just really quick story. People might be able to see my wallpaper. If you're on the audio, you can't see it. I'm in my office and I've got some pink wallpaper with tigers, cheetahs, spotty leopards, all pink, yellow,
Oh my
blue.
God, it's fabulous. I
It's
love
gorgeous.
it.
And the reason is I have 2 very colourful brands, very bright, very pink. They're not kind of bougie, aesthetic, kind of minimal. They're very busy, but that's who I am. And I very nearly didn't. So my branding designer has done both of my brands across both the businesses, but I very nearly didn't work with her because on her Instagram feed, I couldn't see myself. All she shared was examples of black, sleek, minimalistic coaching websites. And I said, I love you, but I don't see myself in your work. So I don't think you're my person. And she said, oh gosh, I'm absolutely your person, Claire. And we had a conversation and she showed me some different work. So it just, that's the point, is there has to be that resonance. We have to see ourselves in your stories, in your content, in you, in your, story. That resonance has to be there. So 3 quick tips just on this while we're doing it quickly is I want you to think about, listeners, I want you to think about, why do you want to be known? Why do you want to be remembered? And why do you want to be chosen?
I love
You can write down 3 statements. I want to be known for this. I want to be remembered for making people feel like this. And I want to be chosen for this reason. That's 3 really key clarity pieces there in your messaging.
I love that. And that can obviously resonate across their website and their socials.
Core messaging.
And core messaging to take forward. And I think also with that, it's going back to that very original piece at the beginning of the podcast of, we just see our value in the doing. And actually, if we want to be chosen for X, Y, and Z, that's out of those maybe doing activities, then we can also add that to our skill set that could branch off into another craft, such as, workshops or mentoring or videos or coaching or something like this. And I think both of us are prime examples with this. Like you said, with me, I have a property development company, I have an interior design company. And yes, my ultimate goal one day was to coach and mentor women in this. But I've spent 15 years in my crafts, really, investing my time learning and then packaging up all of my skill sets. Even just sitting down, having a conversation with a woman for half an hour will transform her life, will transform her business, doing a brainstorming session, doing a strategy day, things like you. So it's not just we're sitting doing an activity, we're doing a physical piece of work in our business and we get paid for it. We're sitting even having a conversation and there's an exchange of monetary value there because we are giving another woman the skill set to implement into her business as well.
Absolutely. And it's such a key shift of seeing that value outside of just ticking off tasks or just being a doer. And that is an identity shift as well. It has to start with you seeing that first in yourself before you can then go on. But yeah, learning how to monetize and leverage your skills is the game changer. Bringing new revenue streams to expand your capacity to do what you do in different ways, doing it with people, doing it for them, teaching them, consulting them, courses, webinars, in person, passive. It just opens up so many opportunities and doors.
I love that. And I think let's just kind of talk about sometimes the feelings that women get when they're afraid or they have a fear of stepping out of all they know, is that they just think, no, I just have to be doing the doing to get paid. Let's talk about what women could experience, the fear around that and how they break free from that.
Okay, so obviously I think imposter syndrome is such a common thing that we all go through and we all get at different points. There's the couple of points that I would love to make on this sort of part of the conversation is our comfort zone. I always say to my clients, I don't really believe in stepping outside of your comfort zone because that feels really vulnerable, doesn't it? That feels risky because we're stepping outside of it fully. What I say is let's get better at making the comfort zone that we have bigger. Let's get more comfortable doing things that, cause discomfort. So over time, they no longer feel uncomfortable. So rather than it having to be we're constantly in our little bubble and we're constantly having to throw ourselves out of it to the walls and then scamper back in, let's kick out that circle and let's get more confidence. And this is a huge part of the work that I do and I'm really passionate about is we spend a lot of time and energy in business in looking at the wrong things. We spend a lot of time seeking to control things that are outside of our control, trying to manipulate situations to get results when there isn't always an answer. What we actually need to do is get better at sitting in uncertainty.
Absolutely.
So that's one thing. And another little analogy I'll share with you, because my clients love this. If anybody played Super Mario when they were kids, if your kids play it now, I always say today where you are in your business right now, whether you're new or whether you've been in business a long time, you are at a Mario save point, right? Mario has gone down his little green flag and he's saved his progress. Yeah. He's gone into his next level. And there's risks. There's mushrooms that will get in. There's tubes that he can fall down. Bowser might bonk him on the head, right? But it doesn't matter because anything that happens, he doesn't go, if he dies, he doesn't go back to the beginning of the game. He goes back to his last save point. And you're at a save point today, whoever is listening, because you're already doing it. Yeah. You already know that you can achieve what you're currently achieving. And when you look at it like that, you've got nothing to lose by trying something new, because if it doesn't work, you'll just come back to your reset point and you'll try again. The same as you did in Mario.
I love that.
Right? So you're at your Mario save point.
I love that. You are at your Mario save point and it doesn't matter. You just
nothing to lose.
Jump back and you just have nothing to lose. And I think, so many women have this fear of like, well, actually, if I step outside of that, and I get that wrong, am I going to get judged? Or what if I do this and I just massively mess it up? And it's like, well, actually, But what if you do it and you really excel at it and you find a new craft and actually it takes over from what you're doing and you'll make more money at it?
Absolutely.
So, what if you do it and you love it and you're not going to know until you actually do it. So you should expand your thought process and really sit down. And I think we invite all women to sit down after this conversation, especially as we're going into the new year. It's going to be New Year's Eve tomorrow night. And this is something I really love to do. And I sit and look and reflect on the skills that I've got and the skills that I developed that year. And how can I actually support more women in bringing those skills to them? And what does that look like? So I invite every single woman listening to really think about what are the skills that they have learned in 2025 and how could they monetize on them moving into 2026?
An exercise that I do with my clients is like an opportunity mapping exercise. Is exactly that, really looking for the opportunities. A test that I give to my clients, which they find really, really helpful, coming back to that conversation of when we get stuck in helper mode, is have a piece of paper on your desk, and as you go into the new year and you're working with your clients, put a column down your piece of paper and put doing in one column and put not doing in the other column. And I want you to list all of the times that you find yourself doing something that is a doing task. Right? You're adding value by doing. I made a sales page. I wrote the copy. I did this. But what I also want you to do is I want you to note down all the things on the other side of the page where you're adding value that wasn't a doing. I gave my client an idea. I helped them find clarity. I challenged them. I made them feel better. I held them accountable. All of those things, because once you physically yourself see on paper just how much value you are adding outside of the doing, that's where you can start to say, right, what can I do with this? What could this become? This could become a package. This could become a power hour. This could become a worksheet. This could become a course. This could become a webinar. And then we start to think about one-to-many. We start to think about scalable ways to leverage and monetize our income.
I absolutely love that. I think that is such a gorgeous activity to do. And for any women that are listening, if you do that activity, please reach out to Claire and myself to kind of share with us, what the outcomes are.
It's realizations.
What are you going to do in 2026 that's different? So Claire, before we obviously wrap up the podcast, before we leave and we step into a gorgeous new year, another year together in each other's world, what would be the one last piece of value or a message that you would want to leave the women listening with today?
I think just do the work, do the inner work, do the identity work, because I spent the first 4 or 5 years of my business with the mentality and the attitude of like, I'll just work harder. I'll just work harder, and it'll be fine. I'll just do more, I'll take on more clients, I'll do more. And it's not a great strategy. And then I started realizing something in this mindset work. it works for a reason.
It does work.
Yeah. And a lot of the time we have what's called an identity lag. Is we haven't caught up with the woman that we've become, and we are still operating from the mentality of the woman that we were. So do the work, do this identity work, do the self-reflection, build your self-awareness, and it will pay you back in dividends.
I love that. And it's so important to do that work. And for many, many, many years in business, if I go back to, 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18, certainly in the early years of the studio when we first just met, I always thought it was just business strategy. I never really got exposed to mindset work or internal work until most probably 2018, until I had, I lost my identity and I suffered really badly with postnatal depression. And I then was introduced to it and thought, this is what the other 1% are doing. They're doing the strategy and the internal energetics. And then the more we obviously expose ourselves to it as business owners, you know, you've got to have the two side by side.
100%. I always say to my clients that no amount of good business strategy can ever outplay a bad mindset.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've got a whole training company, the Skills Blueprint, which blends human development with business development, because you cannot have one without the other.
Yeah, it's absolute key. So for anyone listening, stepping into 2026, I want you to take note of everything that we've spoken about today, but also invite you to look at internal energetic work, mindset work, and what that would look like in your business, in you, in your routine for 2026. Claire, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today.
We could be here all night, couldn't we?
Oh, literally could talk for hours at this rate. We could have a whole season of just us. Let's make it happen.
Yeah. 2026 on the board.
I love it. Thank you so much.
You.
For anyone that wants to step into Claire's world, the details are going to be in the show notes. You can dive into her website, dive into Instagram. And if you want to actually come and meet Claire in person, she is going to be in Ibiza with me in May 2026. She is going to be supporting me on our reset day. There are day passes now available for our beautiful retreat from the 18th to the 22nd of May in Ibiza. Claire, once again, thank you so much. And I will be back for another powerful podcast tomorrow as we close off day 31 and we end 2025 together before we step into 2026. Take care. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Design Boss Dialogue. If you love what you heard, then please share the podcast with your friends and any women that could do with a dose of empowerment just from me. I would love to hear your thoughts around today's podcast with your key takeaways and wins, because your feedback means everything to me. Also, don't forget to leave a review as well as hit that follow button so you never miss out on any inspiring conversations with me or any other trailblazing women I have on. Stay tuned for more exciting episodes, and remember, unleashing your inner design power and unlocking your true potential is only a click away. See you next time.